And there we have it, dude. That sounded beautiful, Chad.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Tried.
That was awesome, bro.
Took fucking long enough.
Right. Hey, well, everybody, welcome to This Pink Cloud. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. I am an RSPS and host of Holler at the Recovery Support Peer Specialist. Host of this show, and we are all about multiple pathways to recovery, mental health, all that good stuff. Sitting in with me to my left, who has a joint camera with me. I have my own camera today. It's all fancy,
No, I
dude.
cut you out.
Oh, you got your own camera. I
Yeah.
like it, dude. And you're sporting the This Pink Cloud shirt,
Look, I'm
dude.
DJing Cool Guy. That's
I
his
like
name tag.
a DJ Cool Guy.
Yeah.
I like it. But that is Mr. Chad Lamons on the, I like to say the ones and sixes because it's not the ones and twos. Get it? Yeah.
That's the dumbest. Yeah,
D-
okay, cool.
DJ
yeah.
joke.
Sounds good, dude.
Sorry, old man joke, dude. Hey, but really excited to have these guys in. I know Rand was supposed to be here. Rand is sick, so we do wish him the best. I'm sure it's like his 14th time to have COVID or something like that. But we wish you the best, Rand. And but sitting in from the Men of Nehemiah, we have Mr. Lance, and I am not going to say your last name, but you can.
Oh, yeah. I'm Lance Canner.
Okay. And then his boy, Kyle, who actually currently works with the Men of Nehemiah. And that is Kyle.
Wakowiak.
There we go. That was the fun one.
I told you, dude.
You would have gotten it if you were hosting, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's an undue stress that I don't need to put on myself. But, I appreciate you guys coming out. So what we usually do is just have our guests kind of tell their story, but then obviously y'all have an organization, and I want to get to that piece later. But Kyle, why don't we, since you work for them, why don't you just tell us like kind of a little bit of your backstory, and then how you wound up with the Men of Nehemiah?
Okay. Early on in the home, alcohol was very prevalent. My father was an alcoholic. Drugs were also involved. And so at the early age, I began drugs about 12, started experimenting with weed, pills, and actually methamphetamines too. And as the years progressed...
did you have like an older brother, or was it parents? Well, somebody that's introducing you at 12 to this. I mean, because that's, by the way, that's not normal.
Yeah, so it's not, right?
Yeah.
So so we lived in Irving for a long time. And so when I was about fifth grade, we had moved to Keller. We had ended up living in this trailer park, right?
Uh-huh.
But by that time, alcohol was already prevalent for a long time, weed and everything else. So they didn't actually, my parents didn't introduce it to me. But growing up in that trailer park,
sure,
we all,
it was just a little bit of came with the environment.
Okay. And it escalated up to amphetamines, methamphetamines, opiates at a very young age, and it continued. So by the time that
well, you're not that old right now. I mean, you're 33?
Yeah, I'm 33.
Okay, you're a youngster.
Yeah, I'm a youngster. But I started I started drugs before puberty, and it really distorted my perception of reality for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, because you just grew up that being normal.
Yeah, that was that was normalized, right? Like what wasn't normalized to me was I would go to people's houses and the family would be having dinner at a dinner table, right? And so like that was, so then automatically I always felt less than, right?
Right.
And then I lived in a trailer park in a community of Keller, Texas, and it was like almost like some 8 Mile, like some imminent. It was like that kind of perception, and my father was super abusive to me, and my mother. He was psychologically, mentally, and emotionally, and there were some things that were said to me. So I up until about 13, I was the only child. Then my brother was born, and I talk about that a lot. Like when a loved one is abusing you, it's not the fact that they're hitting you. is that you say that you love me. I don't know. It just distorted my perception.
Absolutely.
And it drove me deeper into drugs.
Right. So it's like you're telling me one thing, but your actions show another.
Yeah.
So like it's almost like the love that you know is abuse.
Yeah. And eventually my mom would put my dad out. There was just a big fiasco of things that happened. And we moved back to Irving, right? And so I moved to Irving, and all I wanted to do was skateboard, smoke weed, pop bars.
The important stuff.
Yeah, the important
Hell
stuff in
yeah,
life.
dude.
And to hell with school, right? And when you're that young and you're thinking about it, you're like, well, this is not going to do anything for me when I get older, right? So eventually as time progressed, I think I had got into my 20s, maybe about 18, and then it progressively got worse, and I began being addicted to heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, IV use, right?
Okay.
And
Shout out all those drugs and IVUs, dude.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. This is terrible.
Well, so professionally it would be I was a polysubstance
Yeah.
abuser,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If I wanted to be correct.
Right.
But then it would lead to different roads, right? Homelessness, ended up with hepatitis C. And I'll get into how at Nehemiah some things had happened to me and everything that came with the street life. Obviously, we were talking earlier,
Yeah.
and that was very that was my life.
Absolutely.
That was my life from there to Irving to West Dallas to Oak Cliff. That was what drove me.
Yeah, you and Chad actually had some common ground as far as your experience.
And nothing about that was fun. That was
No.
looking like I even knew in those moments this is a living hell, dude.
Yeah.
I can't keep living like this, right?
Yeah.
So periodically I would cry out, and then there would be the chance to go to treatment, but my own stubbornness wouldn't let me change, so I had to have to return right back to it.
Yeah.
Right. Were you always in a state of, oh no, I can manage it this time? Okay, I'm going to dial it back, and I've got it. I can successfully do it this time.
Well, I will speak on this. One time
Yeah.
I was going to North Star, Solace, because the state was funded by North Star, so you can get on Suboxone. So my bright idea was
Okay, now just for the people that don't know what that was that you just said, you said
Solace.
Soulless?
It's right off of Mockingbird and 35.
Okay, and that's
Actually-
a place where you can get medically aided treatment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. I like to spell that out because everybody starts like, oh, soulless and this and this and this,
Yeah.
and not everybody knows that. So.
Yes, sir.
Cool, yeah, no.
So the
And please,
Don't call him
please,
sir, dude.
Please do not call me sir.
Don't
Okay.
call this guy sir, dude.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's what a nice guy.
He is, I know. He's actually got manners.
I don't.
Right.
Manners, no.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
even worry about it, dude. This guy's a fucking.
Hey.
He's a DJ, dude.
Well, looking back, so I would get on Suboxone, and my bright idea would be, well, I'll smoke PCP now
Oh.
to get off the heroin, right?
Wait, hold on. That I have never heard of that approach. That's the first
Yeah.
time. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years,
Yeah.
and I never heard of anybody trying to kick heroin with PCP. But,
Well, yeah. and
all
then-
right.
Well, yeah. then-
That's I got to give you points for creativity.
Yeah, that's-
there.
Yeah, I mean, meth maintenance and all that, right?
Sure.
Like there was all that
Right.
involved. But then by the end of the week, I would find myself with a needle in my arm
Uh-huh.
and a stick to my mouth, which is lingo for dip, this stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smoking PCP and shooting up heroin probably at the same time.
Wow.
And like you, I got many abscesses and stuff like that, and because I just ran out of veins.
Yeah.
And I always wanted a life, but I wanted heroin to be included, right? Like I wanted to
Absolutely.
be successful, right?
Right.
And many times there was this legitimate cry of I don't want to fucking do this anymore. But I always went back. They would give me tools and stuff. I went to 12 steps. I did all that. I knew many people that were clean, but I just didn't think it could ever work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, that's what I'm saying. I had to get beaten into submission. And so when we were speaking earlier, I couldn't tell you how pissed off I was that I had a less than a gram and they want to send me off to treatment, right?
Oh, dude, I was so pissed off. I get it.
That's nothing.
I 100% get that.
My track record says I'm a junkie, right? And I remember going to court and she was like, oh my God, look at all these needle charges. Don't you know you're going to die? I think like
And you had hepatitis C at this
I
point
did.
too, as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So there's that part.
so I'm in Homeward Bound another
Okay.
time. I'm in Homeward Bound.
Shout out Homeward Bound.
Bound,
Yeah,
yeah, dude.
exactly.
They
I
do
love
great
Homeward
work
Bound.
there.
Yeah.
I actually do some ministry stuff with them too.
Look,
Awesome.
what they call H&Is.
H&I. Yeah.
There you go.
I was in Homeward Bound trying to get detox, and she was like, "Don't you know that you're gonna get cirrhosis of the liver?" And I was like, "Oh no, I don't drink."
Yeah.
She was
Right.
like, "Everything is filtered through your liver, right?"
By
Like
the way, the
yeah.
heroin, the PCP, all that goes to
Everything
your liver,
filters
dude.
through your liver,
Not
yeah.
just alcohol, right?
Man, I've had a wild ride. I mean, there's countless times of things that would happen that I would go to these different places, and just nothing ever worked, right? Like, man, just getting out of Safe P, staying out a month, going right back to state jail, getting out of state jail. So, and remember getting out on July 3rd, 2017. And from that period up until October 30th was like this real brokenness, right? Like I was like, once again, I'm crying because
You don't want to do it, but
yeah, and you ask yourself like there's been numerous suicide attempts on that I've done too, because it just hurt so bad. There was so much pain. One of the realest things my mom ever told me, and I was so blind. I remember I was shooting up in her restroom, and she came in there and was like, if I could take this pain away from you, I would, right? Like that just
Yeah.
shows you like the mother's love, right?
yeah, of course.
I used to shoot drugs in front of my brother, my mom, right? Like at the dope house in West Dallas. Like these were real things. Like and that was my normal, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
man, like the pain and misery I inflicted on them too for a long time.
Now, were they actively using as well, or was it?
No, I mean my brother was only like 6, and my mom,
True.
my mom, she was a heavy alcoholic,
Okay.
and so we actually would fight on which one was
So
worse.
yeah, so she had no leg to stand on, so to speak. Yeah.
And I mean, the only leg she had to stand on was that she worked every day and she provided a home
Right,
for a
yeah.
20-year-old adolescent who,
Sure.
who needs to learn how to.
And then what happened to your abusive dad at this point?
We hadn't.
Did he dissipate, like
Yeah.
wander out off into the sunset at
Yeah.
some point?
He did. He.
Yeah.
I think the last time I had recently saw him again. We actually, I can touch on that later.
Okay.
But he, it showed up in my, I got some abandonment wounds. I could tell, like, and I'll mess with people sometimes. I'll be like, hey, the last time I spoke to my dad, I was 18, right? He had already moved out and stuff. He was like, hey, I'm gonna come pick you up in the morning, and we're gonna go to work. I said, all right. So I slept by the door that night, and he never came. So I use it as a joke sometimes. But that was some real like.
Oh yeah, that's trauma, dude.
That's
That's like
some-
yeah, for sure, dude. It's like, oh, cool. I'm gonna reconnect with this guy that I love,
Yeah.
and then he doesn't show. No show. Wonder why?
And it drove me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it drove me deeper. And
Yeah.
so, like, previous to going to safety and state jail, when I was living at the Suburban, there was an issue that I almost got killed there, right? I got a head injury. I got pistol whipped pretty bad, man. And man, just life is, I don't know, man. Like, life has been, like addiction is hell,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's literal hell, right? And
It's a job that you don't want.
yeah. So like growing up, I didn't have these things that other people had, right? Or that they were able to lose and then get back. Like I had nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like materialistically, I didn't have anything, but spiritually, I was more or less dead, right? But there was a brokenness. There was this brokenness from July 3rd, 2017 to October 30th, where I was like, man, maybe I should just die.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just die. Maybe that
Right.
would be the best option for me.
Yeah.
And
Not just for you, but for everybody is what
Yeah.
it seems like.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, and even in death, you'd still be a taker of your family.
Yeah.
right. Like that's some hard shit to swallow too. So I was actually out at a 12-step meeting and I met this guy, Shelby Bird. Shout out to Shelby Bird.
Yeah.
He
All right,
Shout out, dude.
Shelby.
and so what he was I remember he saw me say, hey, you want something to eat? And I'm like, nah, I'm good because I'm a street addict, right?
Yeah.
And I know
Right.
the lifestyle of everything that comes
Right.
with that other people are ashamed to say. And man, a lot of that stuff happened to me, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm like, nah, man, I don't want nothing from you.
Yeah,
You know.
because that leads to something else.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. You
Hey,
know,
dude,
just-
can you just rub my back?
Yeah.
Hey, you party?
Yeah.
I used to get that when I was on the street.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you party?
Yeah. And you're just like, what? Man?
I had no idea
Yeah.
what the fuck they were talking
Oh,
about until
yeah.
somebody explained it to me, and then I was like, well,
Until you
fuck.
got invited to the party later.
Yeah, until I went to the party.
Yeah,
it was
you're
all
like-
too real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go out to eat, and man, I just remember him like helping me, and what that was a reflection. So I am a Christian, right? And so what that was a reflection of what Christ had did, right? Like loving and serving others, right? Like that Christ came for the homeless, he came for the weak, he came for the broken, he came for those that couldn't take care of themselves,
Yeah.
right? And that was just like a reflection of that, and I didn't know that at the time. So we got really cool, man. My mom and them, they couldn't afford beds and stuff, and these guys from 12 Steps and Shelby, Charlie, Dawes, they would buy my people like a mattress to sleep on,
Yeah.
you know, and it was just something I couldn't do as a man. I wasn't a man,
Yeah.
right? Like I wasn't a man, and so like sooner or later he was like, hey man, Shelby actually knows Ty. He goes, hey, why don't you go to the Men of Nehemiah?
Okay.
Saw the video,
Right.
I said, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Right, and the Men of Nehemiah, when you first saw it, okay, your first impression is it's Jesus boot camp,
It's Jesus boot camp.
right?
I was under the impression that I'm about to have to act like I'm sleeping in a dorm again.
Right.
Yeah.
I need shower shoes, right? And like,
So that was your first impression of
my
it.
impression. Yeah, he had stayed on me for about a month about it, but then finally that moment came
Right.
where I was like, dude, I can't. You know, my friend had. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. Well, what I was going to say is that the Men of Nehemiah, you were talking about structure and a lack of structure in your life.
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing about the Men of Nehemiah is that built-in structure and that built-in accountability, and that's why I'm a champion of what they do over there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't mean to so a guy like you needed some accountability, and maybe somebody to tell you when and what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because at that point in your life, you forget how to brush your teeth, you forget how to wash your socks, you forget
100%.
You forget everything, right?
Everything that other people think is so fucking normal.
Yeah.
Like just being on the street, like you're so busy just trying to fend for your fucking addiction. You're not even like fending for yourself. You know what I mean? You're fending for fucking dope.
Yeah.
Like straight up. So like anything that happens is because of like your addiction put it in your way.
Right.
And like it's just crazy to like sit here with somebody else like you who's been through that motherfucker and is out on the other side.
Yeah.
Because there's like, I don't know, man, there's so many valuable lessons like that I was like, fuck, dude, if I can survive out there, I can survive fucking anywhere.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's a big thing to me. So I'm not trying to steal your spotlight.
All right.
You're good.
He's just relating.
No, you're
Yeah,
right.
like this story hits home, man.
Yeah.
For real.
I mean, right? Like other people had job. I never had a real job. My job was to steal copper, shingles, and nails, and still
Catalytic converters.
No, I never got into that.
No, okay.
But I did a lot of dumpster diving, and I learned the game about Plato's Closet.
Yeah.
And finding some good clothes. Like I knew all these things, right? I couldn't steal from Walmart because Walmart is where I bought my needles from.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be
okay.
banned from
Yeah,
there.
that's true.
You know?
Yeah.
That is true.
Hell yeah.
I never thought about it in that aspect. I don't want to. Yeah. Okay.
It just
It makes sense though, dude. Perfect sense.
the
Yeah.
shopping, pushing shopping carts.
Well,
and all that.
okay, so and then you get involved with the Men of Nehemiah, and let's go ahead and I want to go ahead and jump to Lance's story. I mean, the thing is okay, so for you, Lance, how did you find the Men of Nehemiah? Obviously, you had a broken past, but let's hear a little bit about that, and then how you came in, and then maybe we can kind of join the stories of going through the program.
I think I see where you're going with it.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, I mean, for me, I guess growing up, everything looked right on the outside. Like I had all of the new video games. I had all of the new toys. I had, my parents were very solid blue collar workers. They provided everything.
So completely different from Kyle.
Completely different. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I went to a good school system. And that's how it was on the outside. But the truth was, that growing up, my parents were very emotionally distant. My father used to work nights. He was a overbearing coach. Both of my parents really championed performance over, I guess, a truer love and a truer affection and acceptance.
Yeah. Right.
You know, if I only played football well enough.
Yeah, it's the old second place is first last.
Yeah.
I got you.
You ain't first, you last.
There you go. There you go.
Sounds right.
Hold on. Sounds like you've heard that before.
I heard it a time or two.
Yeah, a time or two.
So you know, that's in the way that my parents were towards each other. Honestly, they were at each other's throats. You know, they had a very unhappy marriage. Some days they were just throwing stuff at each other, you know, screaming at the top of their lungs. And I guess what I did to try to cope with this sort of stress in the household is I ignored it. I ignored it, and I closed the door. You know, my grades started to slip further and further, thus, you know, adding more to the way that I felt. You know, in the recovery world, they call it restless, irritable, and discontent.
Yeah.
So I've learned that I've been restless, irritable, and discontent my entire life. You know, even though I had all of these beautiful things.
Right. Yeah. Even though you had a quote unquote normal childhood.
Correct.
Right.
Fucking crawling out of your skin for absolutely no reason.
Out of my skin. I don't know why.
I did fucking same thing, man.
Because y'all were all restless, irritable, and discontent.
We were in the malady, bro.
There we go.
That's my favorite. You're just surfing the malady, dude.
But you know, and I learned it at an early age. I really just started. I tried to fill the void. I didn't know I was trying to fill the void, but I was filling that void with anything I could, and that took the shape of, I don't know, food. So it's never really been enough. Even since I was a little child, I guess I wore husky-sized pants.
Right.
So if you
I love the term husky.
Husky. I was a husky boy. You know?
Right. Sure.
In the mornings, whenever I had breakfast, I would have either 6 Eggos or I'd have 6 Pop-Tarts.
Oh yeah.
You know? And there's some psychology going on there because my toaster only fit 4 Eggos, right?
All right.
Yeah, so by the time the other 2 were done, I'd already scarfed down the 4.
All right.
You know, and so it's really never been enough. I've been gluttonous and I've indulged on anything that's ever crossed my bow.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing really ever satified. Like
I ain't enough water in the ocean to quench my motherfucking thirst.
There, right
Yeah,
there.
goddamn right.
No, sir.
Yeah.
It's funny you mention that because, you know, how I developed my thirst, you know, is I still remember the first time that I ever tried alcohol. And after growing up being that insecure little fat kid my entire life, and I went to this party, this high school party, finally, you know, because I'd hit puberty.
Right.
And I started to develop muscles. And girls were looking at me, and I loved everything about it. And I grew up watching movies like Varsity Blues and American Pie, you know, and all those, you know, Club Lizard sort of Super Troopers movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Hail alcohol and drinking in a very fraternity sort of way.
Yeah.
You know, and I try alcohol because I'm at this party and there's girls in bikinis and it's just like it is in the movies.
Right.
Yeah.
And instantly that feeling, that restless, irritable, and discontent just vanished.
Yep.
And I pursued that feeling every weekend. After that point, I was 16 years old. And
It was that social crutch that you needed to that the husky little boy needed to feel comfortable in front of the ladies.
I just want to
Right?
give a shout out. Shout out to fucking husky boys everywhere, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, so, you know, and my drinking became absurd. It became absurd at my senior year in high school. I was keeping a handle of Taka vodka in my truck.
Wow.
And I was drinking every Wednesday, and I was taking Xanax bars every Monday and still playing football around it.
Oh, wow.
And
But why, hold on, why vodka on Wednesday and Xanax bars on Monday? Why is the schedule? Why not just...
So I had to sneak it in around football practice.
Okay.
So on Mondays, it was a longer practice, so I couldn't be smelling like booze.
Okay, so you
know,
get
so I
barred
took-
out.
Yeah, get
then.
barred out.
Okay.
And then on Wednesdays, there was more like pass hole, so I could kind of more like lighter pads.
Oh,
so
I gotcha.
I could, not smell or reek of booze, which I know I did because I always reek of booze.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just was wondering why
That's a
Monday
fantastic question.
Monday was Xanax day and Wednesday was booze day.
Bro, the guy's got a system, dude.
Yeah, I know.
He's 6 Pop-Tarts or 6 Eggos.
I know.
So and
Method to the
like, there's
madness,
only
bro.
4 of them.
Right.
So I'm sensing a little. I get it.
He's got a pattern.
Yes, I get it, dude.
Either that or OCD, but
Yeah, a little bit, all of
Yeah,
the
a little
above,
bit of all
honestly.
that,
yeah,
Absolutely,
right.
all of that neurosis.
That all adds
You know,
up.
and so there was alcohol, and then I still remember the first time I experimented with heavy drugs. I was 18 years old, and
how old of a guy are you right now?
I'm 34.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So when I was 18,
Uh-huh.
I first experimented with a drug called ecstasy.
Uh,
And back in those days, it was about 2005, 2006.
That was good shit.
not I disagree with that because
Yeah, but that's because you're fucking old.
yeah, I know, no, but I was when it was pure MDMA.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
okay,
that's
but-
dude. That was when dinosaurs were walking around taking ecstasy, dude.
right. Okay, but so Molly, you were a borderline Molly. But
No,
anyway,
they were tabs back then.
Yeah.
Like I know it
All
was
right.
like blue dolphins and
Blue
shit like
dolphins,
that. Yeah,
green
There we go.
Heavenly
Blue
Gates.
Pumas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Superman's like all that shit. That was now they're like meth pressed into pills.
Yeah.
right,
Like anything that you get
or
now.
or
research
whatever they
chemicals.
decide. Yeah, or
Yeah.
fentanyl.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, that
that's
too.
That just
But
makes
so
no
anyway,
sense.
so ecstasy and
Ecstasy, and I started going out to clubs. I came out to clubs here in
yes.
Dallas.
yeah,
I started going to a place called Insomnia.
I know that well.
Used
Checks
to go
out.
to the Lizard
Yeah.
Lounge, and I used to go to a place called
Yeah.
Afterlife.
Yeah.
shout out to the Lizard Lounge.
Well,
dude.
I DJ'd at Lizard Lounge late '90s, so I was probably just a little bit before your run,
Yeah.
but I was doing Insomnia in the after hours.
Yeah.
So
Back
yeah.
then, back in my day, it was DJ Radar, DJ Shaolin.
I love Radar and Shaolin. Yeah, yeah,
So-
good guys.
Yeah.
So they were the video bar guys at Lizard Lounge, and then they would do the after hours at Insomnia.
Insomnia, yeah,
Yeah.
correct. That was it.
And we'll probably Andy Sontag, Kerry Ragman. No?
Those names are not familiar to me.
Little too okay. I'm dialing in on.
Dude,
your
anytime
sweet
I went
spot.
to Insomnia, I was too fucked up to pronounce any DJ name.
All my
You know what
fr-
I mean? I couldn't tell you a fucking person that
Actually,
played.
my friends that would go to Insomnia were tweakers that would go and search the furniture. Like afterwards.
See what fell out of someone's
That's a
pocket.
lick
Yeah,
right
no,
there.
That's
yeah.
sneaky.
They're
That's a
like,
lick.
oh yeah, I found somebody's keys. I don't know. Let's go out in the parking lot and find the car. Anyway, so sorry to derail.
So yeah, I started experimenting with ecstasy, and my mother was kind of she struggled with her own mental health, her own prescription pill abuse, but overall she was a very good mother. She was
Sure.
very like a mother lioness. So she found out what I was doing, and she put a stop to it. She used to follow me around at raves, and she used to follow me around at friends' house, the dope house, and she used to call my plugs and threaten them. And I was able to get clean for a little bit of time, and I trained, and I went and I played college football for a year
Oh wow, where?
in this small school in Kansas City, Missouri called Avila.
Okay.
And you know what I learned there? What I learned is that they have drugs and alcohol too.
Yeah, or you learn that you don't have to show up for school.
Yeah. And I learned I didn't have. I learned that. That they
I
were
learned
gonna-
that lesson too. Yeah.
I learned that they weren't going to give me a free pass like they
Right.
did in high school.
Uh-huh.
So that ended poorly, of course,
Right.
because I had no oversight, and I go immediately off the rails on drugs, immediately from jump.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back home, and I get sobered up again because of my mother, and I go to school. I start educating myself. I go to EMT school. I go to paramedic
cool.
school. I was a paramedic for 4 years at a place called MedStar Mobile Healthcare.
Okay,
In Fort
cool.
Worth.
Shout out for
Yeah,
doing
shout
that,
out.
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
You know?
But at this time, are you still in your active addiction
So I
while
was
that's going on?
I did get a DWI while
Okay.
I was working there, and
Uh-huh.
they did allow me to work for a while with the DWI as long as I had a valid driver's license.
What a perfect time for a siren to be going.
Yeah,
I know, dude. I was like,
Hey,
are
that's
they
my
coming
voice.
with
Yeah,
me?
that's my voice.
I thought that was y'all.
No, that is actually street noise, but
So yeah, I was able to work for a while, and I had a little bit of act right in my life because I had to toe the line, and I was worried about losing my career and this and that. But of course, that didn't last long because life has a way of happening and threw me some stressful events. I relapsed back on alcohol. Of course, I didn't start using drugs because I knew I'd be randomed.
Right.
I started drinking like a fish, where I was drinking like 3 beers out of a 12-pack. Like 3 weeks later, I'm drinking the whole 12-pack after a shift.
Sure.
I'm also using anabolic steroids at the time.
And good times.
Oh yeah.
That's always a good thing for your mood stabilizer.
Yeah.
Anabolic steroids.
Yeah, not so much. I found.
Well, cool. So then I take it then after that, then you probably meet up with Men of Nehemiah. But before we get to that part of the story, I need to throw it to our sponsors real quick. One of them is our beloved Max the Axe, and he is actually a personal injury attorney, and he is actually out of Houston, Texas, but practices in Texas and California. If you actually hit up thispinklawyer.com, it will route you to his website, and he will get you the maximum results. So, and tell him we sent you here at This Pink Cloud, and he will
trying to get paid. Yeah, tell him we sent you. We're trying to get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, he's trying to get everybody paid.
Yeah,
I mean, he definitely listens. Great lawyer. And then also we have our new sponsor, or newish sponsor, which is the NeuroGlow, and that's NeuroGlow.com, and they are ketamine infusion therapy clinic. And he always
shout out ketamine therapy, dude.
But they do micro dosing, and they have seen lots of results with people with PTSD, trauma, suicidal ideology, and they have seen it have positive effects on people with addictions.
And it's
so
treatment resistant.
So somebody that's maybe treatment resistant, it might be an avenue for you, and that would be neuroglow.com.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to the good stuff. So it sounds like in both your stories, you it just wasn't working as far as you wanted to be sober, but then it wasn't happening. So how did, I mean, if you want to go, since you're telling your story anyways, I mean, how did you, because you're a new graduate of the Men of Nehemiah?
Newer.
Okay.
I will have been graduated for 2 years.
Well, why don't you give me how you were introduced to it, and then, I mean, as far as what were your thoughts? What was going through your head when you hear Men of Nehemiah and all that stuff?
So fast forward several years in my story, past pain, past my mother's death, past several years of struggle and laziness. I get introduced to methamphetamine, and on methamphetamine, I really kind of lost my mind. I was hearing voices. I was eating out of dumpsters.
Shadow people.
Yeah, shadow people.
Yep. Taking apart VCRs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
And I mean, it was a nightmare. And it ended very poorly. I was living in a house without electricity and running water. I was drinking out of creeks. And one day, my brother-in-law, he'd been trying to get me to come to this treatment center. Is what he just called. He called it a treatment center. And my imagination, it runs with it, and it's like, oh, I'm going to go to a country club.
Right, yeah.
There's going to be like some deep tissue. There's going to be
there's going to be some equine therapy.
Yeah.
I get to pet some horses.
Some Zen shit.
Yeah, right.
That's what I was looking for.
Right.
And finally one day he comes and he tells me that I'm out of options. And what's my decision going to be? And I had nothing clever. So I said, let's go ahead and try this. I'll give rehab a try.
Uh-huh.
And on the ride there, the entire way, he keeps getting me to promise that I'm going to finish it. He says, you're going to finish this, right? I'm like, bro, how hard could it be?
Right.
And
what's he telling you? Is he telling you, it's 30 days, 60 days?
He told me it was 9 months.
9 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a 9-month program.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, I can do this.
Yeah.
But
beats drinking puddle water.
Drink puddle water.
Yeah.
But there's one little caveat, and whenever I got into the intake area at Nehemiah, there was writings on the wall about God, and there was men walking around in military uniforms, and I was I was an atheist. I was an avid atheist. I didn't want anything to do with God. And I immediately knew that I'd been shanghaied.
The old rope-a-dope.
Not only am I going to rehab, but there's a God factor.
There's this God
right.
going on. And I didn't
Shanghai, dude.
Got
That's gonna
Shanghai
be part of my everyday vocabulary for the
Good.
rest of my life
Good,
because
should.
of this moment, dude.
You're welcome. But the way that it works at the Men of Nehemiah is they give you a little bit of 12-step, and then they give you a little bit of biblical. And because of that just right ass whooping that was my addiction, being in a broken state allowed me to be able to absorb the principles that were the biblical principles and the spiritual principles. And then a God of my own understanding started to morph into a Jesus sort of creature.
Yeah.
My life has really never been the same since.
Okay. Well, but it's like for people that don't know, it's and either of you can answer. It's a 9-month program. Is that how it works? Or why don't you go ahead and tell me how it works? Actually,
so it is a 9-month program, but it's broken down in 3 phases. You have phase 1 and 2, and each phase is a span of 3 months.
Right.
So initially, the first 6 months, you're doing the biblical thing, you're doing the military thing. There's some clinical, definitely some professional counseling going on, right?
Right.
And all your needs are met, right? Even when you get to phase 3, I mean, food, clothing, and shelter, right? So that a man is able to take an internal
actually
look.
do some personal,
And that was a big deal. That was a big deal for me.
Well, shit for you, yeah. I mean, because you never really even had that.
I never.
Yeah. So you actually had that for the first time in your life with the Men of Nehemiah.
Yeah, man, Nehemiah was a game changer. Like Lance was saying, there was people marching and stuff like that. I mean,
right? Yeah, that would like kind of freak you out, right? I mean, were y'all both freaked out? Like when you got there, you're like, oh my God, what did I sign up for, dude?
I mean, I'm not even gonna lie to you, dude. Like they were like, when I went into the classroom, they did my intake. The most beautiful thing is earlier I was saying something about a bed, right? So I was thinking we're going to a dorm, and the living quarters and actually a whole apartment complex that you'll have about 4 men in the house with you. But the greatest thing of all was there was a bed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It was like my own.
Dude.
Yeah, dude.
Like, dude, I'm at the Ritz-Carlton, dude.
And like once you subscribe, right, to the military aspect of putting on the uniform and stuff like that, man, then all of a sudden you're like, man, this is.
You feel like you're a part of something.
You are a part of something.
Yeah.
And that's what Nehemiah is all
I got a
about,
question.
too.
So do guys actually get there and they are completely resistant to that part?
You do. You stumble into that, and I think we all have that inside of us, right?
Right.
So,
No, because I could just assume like maybe Lance showing up and then not wanting this is I'm out on this and then fighting it the whole way. I mean, how long does it take to break somebody?
I think, man, it varies from person
to person.
Even in the broken state that I was in, it still was like, for about a couple of weeks, you're like, I gotta work,
right?
And then, but once you buy in, you're like, oh man, this ain't
right. Yeah.
Put your little hat on. That's
sure.
That's what he used to get on to you about whenever you put your hat right here. It had to be 2 fingers from your foot.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, hey, they've got it's military-esque.
Military structure, man.
Yeah.
And that really that was one of the components that saved my life. And I say that,
That's
you hear me?
live, dude.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. So, but I mean, what has happened? Like, I mean, has there ever been anybody that actually didn't want to, and then did? I mean, what if somebody is non-compliant? Let's say, what happens? I mean, do they have so many times, and then it's like show them the door?
Yeah. Well,
I didn't know.
Especially now, they'll work with you a little bit more. Back when I went through there, it was like, oh, you don't want to be here.
Then get the fuck out.
Tear your ass.
Pack them out.
Tear your ass.
Yeah. And because, now with the professional counseling and stuff and
sure.
real like
the clinical aspect added to it.
Yeah. And the counselors will come and they'll build relationships. We all build relationships up there.
Yeah.
Right.
But they'll actually, they'll work with you.
And okay, so for somebody that's maybe interested in going or having a son or a family member or something like that that wants to go. What is the process? And then is it free, or is it does it cost, or I mean how is it funded?
So it is free, right?
Okay.
And like
wow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was free because I didn't have no money to go to 9-month treatment.
Sure.
I can't go to Beverly Hills.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But it is. I think we are we're state licensed, but I think we are funded through some other things. I'm not too sure. Rand would have a better answer.
Right.
And but yeah,
but basically it's a free program.
Yes,
so
sir.
if anybody that and obviously for males,
Yeah,
males only.
Yeah, it's a male.
Is
male treatment.
is there going to be a Women of Nehemiah?
Maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?
But to answer your other question was to how to get in. So initially, because of COVID, we were doing over the phone screenings and things. And so we're still on that. So you would have to call in, and it would have to be that person, right? If the family member wanted their son to come, their son initially would have to call
and do the intake.
They do an intake process, and then.
Is there any stipulations on somebody that probably maybe mentally health wise that isn't there? They'll do do they actually do a medical screening before before it being admitted?
So the way we look at it, right, is the mental health higher than the actual addiction? I'm sorry. Or is what I mean?
Right.
Like if it's too high of a mental health, there's Ty right there. If it's too high of a mental health, we would revert them to somewhere else. But we do get them on psychotropic. I don't know if I'm saying it correct.
The correct meds. The doctor will get them on their correct meds.
So
you're not handing out psychotropic meds.
So as addicts, we all know a lot of us are dual diagnosed, right?
Sure.
That's
absolutely. I'm I'm the entire MSM-5 diagnosed.
What they call co-occurring.
Yeah, co-occurring.
Yes, we are co-occurring.
But definitely, man, we're free. We're free, man. That was the game changer for me. And the over the phone screening is initially how we're doing it. I mean, we pass out pamphlets to Homeward Bound, to other places and stuff. No, obviously, no matter where.
Right,
we go.
and y'all do the H&I, and y'all actually probably not just to Homeward Bound, but y'all, as far as your outreach, I mean, you go find people. You go to the front line where where it's happening.
So initially, it's not even just hospitals; it's anywhere you step foot, right?
Yeah,
and you will see somebody.
Well, and you probably know where to step foot. You know,
or just what it looks like.
Sure. Well, but I mean, y'all actually go to those areas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I think that's great that y'all are not just some pretty boy. We look good on paper, and we make the enough donations and whatnot. But then what is this? Is this a picture?
That's what I looked like when I came in.
Oh,
wow!
Hold on, smile at me, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Damn nice. Here, wait. Can we get it on this camera? There you go, dude. You had what we call summer teeth.
Yeah, that was.
Do you know what summer teeth are? Summer here,
summer there,
summer here, and summer there, dude.
I couldn't even.
Yeah, that's pretty.
So
that looked like you ate a box of Oreos, dude.
Ate a box of meth boulders,
meth boulders.
No, just what you saw, what that picture of is man forgetting how to be a human being. Right?
Yeah, well, like you said, just the bottom line, you forget how to brush your teeth and just do normal stuff like that. Yes, so sir. I think that's great. And then I'm sure you will echo his sentiment on as far as the structure aspect of it it seems like it was a good fit for you, right?
Yeah, Kyle touched on it a little bit, and the truth is that I had forgotten what it's like to groom myself. Wasn't bathing for weeks to months at a time.
Right.
So, and one of the strangest things that I found was that I forgot what it was like to eat.
Oh yeah, I
had to make myself.
You had those Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. well,
did they hook you up with 6 Pop-Tarts?
And when I came into the program, man, I went right back, and I was drinking 2 pots of coffee a day. I was scarfing everything down. I packed on about 40, 50 pounds, and not in the good places.
Right. Yeah.
But it retrained me because my chief characteristic is defiance.
Uh-huh.
And, you know,
I bet defiance and the Men of Nehemiah program do not go well together.
No.
At some point, there's going to be a confrontation.
Correct.
Some people, but well, like some people could argue that goes perfectly together.
Yeah,
because
no, I agree.
It's like a complete shift.
It's the
in that
I'm
accountability and that
I'm gonna do it, and no, you're not.
Yeah. I think a lot of our root cause is it would get to the root cause of rebellion and father issues, right? Like we had a lot of father issues.
And 9 months is like a fantastic amount of time to really like buckle down and like work on.
Yeah, and build that dedication and retrain your brain and have that time to restructure.
And it's essentially brain training, man. Like this whole thing, because we've trained our brains to do the gnarliest of shit. Like we push the human condition like beyond extinction, you know what I mean, and then come back from it somehow. And it's because, and I think it's like really cool that you guys like are the way that you are, and then going around and talking about this, because you know you get a lot of people from like rehabs and shit, and they're like, hey, yeah, this place is so great, and I was this, I was that, and blah blah blah. Well, you guys have real fucking stories, like some real shit. You know, and like,
real success stories
and real success.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not just some like fantasy that you're just like pushing here.
Yeah, I'm not here to sell wolf tickets.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
Well, what I was going to say, why we have it on their shot is how can people, if they want to, I know I'm on the menofnehemiah.org. Yes. So is that the best way to get a hold of if anybody is interested in checking out this program or seeing if it's a good fit?
Well, yeah, actually too, if you have a family member or anybody that has a family member, or they would like to come in and check us out, we actually have a Tuesday night Bible study right here on 2010 Al Lipscomb. It is Al Lipscomb. I was going to say Grand.
It is.
But that's actually at the office building. Then we have praise and worship on Sundays from 8 to 9 at the Rehoboth building. That was the other thing I forgot. I probably mentioned it several times, but that building a relationship with Christ for me was what topped everything, right? Like the military, the clinical, but it was just
that feeling of not being alone and having something else like pulling for you.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean. It's huge.
Yeah, my God was heroin.
Yeah,
you know, substance, right?
Absolutely.
So just again, that is Men of Nehemiah, and that is NEHEMIAH.
Yes, I got that first try, by the way.
Yeah, so menofnehemiah.org, and you can they can actually donate if it's because I think it's a worthy cause.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And they've been around since 2010. I see on the website.
Yes, sir.
But these guys are two success stories, and thanks for coming by, guys, and I appreciate you. Coming by this early. I mean, for military guys, this is nothing. But appreciate you guys coming by. And then I always like to give the guest time to give shout-outs. Yeah. So this is that part of the show.
Shout out to my fiance, Heather.
There you go.
All right, dude. Did you ever think you were going to be married and have all your teeth?
No, I actually, I have a 2-year-old daughter now.
Oh
too.
wow! Congrats,
So
dude.
yeah, because I knew a lot of this was sounding gloomy, but man, like because of Nehemiah, because of God, like I'm a father today. I'm about to be a husband. I have a home. I have a car. You know what I mean? Like all the
moral compass and barometer.
Yes,
and
sir. Yes, sir.
I love it.
And I could be a bit charismatic, but I mean, like I just get so excited about my life was a living hell. And what Nehemiah did for me, what God did for me, and that I would be able to be a man today.
It's amazing.
Yes, sir.
I love it. I love it.
You can tell
Amen.
like that's like 100% genuine too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
a
lot of people,
crying.
oh, I had this,
Right.
I had this, I got this because of this, and it's like, nah, this dude's fucking. That's some real shit, dude.
Yeah. And
I've been to the Suburban, dude. I've been robbed there. I've been everything there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know exactly what it was like.
Yeah.
And not maybe not to that extent, but like, dude, it's huge just seeing other people that like went through that shit and have come out on the other side to be such amazing people. You know what I mean? And doing things to help other people, because that's what it's all fucking about.
Yes, sir.
You know?
And that's what working there, right? Like I was working there when Lance got there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were kind of like his liaison in there.
Yeah.
Or?
Well, he knows me. I would come in there and mess with his roommates because I've seen something different in Lance. I've seen the willingness to change, right? So
Okay.
we don't always, and sometimes you can't tell who's going to make it, right? But
Right.
sometimes you can, though.
Yeah.
Like somebody who has that drive and that initiative, so yeah.
Well, and then I don't want to step on your shout outs.
Yeah, my bad. That's
No, that's all good.
I'm going to give a shout out to my family.
Uh-huh.
They've been a huge supporter for me, even at times when I didn't deserve it. Shout out to my sister Sarah, my brother-in-law Matthew, and my nephew Cameron.
Right. Okay. Well, cool, dude. I mean, I appreciate that. And thanks again for coming by, guys. And, Chad, did you have any final questions for the guys, or you want to give Men of Nehemiah a plug?
Yeah, let's just menofnehemiah.org, right? And it's, hold on, I got it, right? NEHEMIAH. Dude.
There we go, dude.
There we go.
Hey,
Every single time.
All right. Well, once again, I appreciate you guys coming out, and I'm really happy for you. Well, for you especially. I mean, for both of you, obviously, but for you especially to come from where you had nothing to a functioning member in society, and I mean, is a huge story.
And having a life that you enjoy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And you have something, you have family, you have everything to look forward to that you've always wanted.
So
And
don't.
it's
so
crazy how it
don't-
all comes about.
So don't fuck it up.
Yeah, trust me.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, well, anyway, thanks again for coming out, guys. I'd love to have you back on the show sometime down the road. But remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
Yeah.
Don't go. Drop a bomb down.